Hello, Mackie here, and welcome back to the mid-season team preview for this mid-season invitational taking place in 2026 at Daejeon, South Korea. We are 5 days out from the mid-season invitational, and there are four teams left to preview: Lion, Hana Life, Common Corp, and BLG. And after that, I have like a day to like discuss regional narratives and preview all the games and all kinds of stuff. Although I can just preview the games on my shorts, the same thing with regional. So, but this, by the way, is the main talking point, of course. Previewing the teams, talking about it, of course. I might need some help if a certain team getting picked, but other than that, this is your preview. Now, before that, we have two big things to discuss, of course, personally and from the Rift. First of all, the T1 just revealed their skins, and I have to say, that is the coolest shit I've ever seen. Like, holy Jesus, that is absolutely fire. In case you don't know the champions, Ambessa, of course, you got Xinjiao. Ambessa is for Doran. Xinjiao is for Owner. Seraphine for Keria, Yanara, and the MVP Misfortune T1 skin for Gumiyusi, and Faker Galio, which I got no surprise, of course, considering that what he did in 2024 was finals against BLG. The guy deserves a Galio skin at some point. His greatness is so good, he deserves a Galio skin, of course, at some point. And this is absolutely incredibly cool. Now, if I have money, which I don't, but if I have money, I think the Seraphine skin is going to be popping off so well. But knowing me and consider my taste, I could go Ambessa, of course, for the aura efficiency and the blades and all kind of stuff. The design looks absolutely so cool with the breastplate, of course. That is just me. I'm not a fashionista and all kind of stuff, but it looks so cool. So, which skin is your favorite? Go down to the comments to pick and choose and which one to buy with your order money, of course, and see which skin would tickle your fancy. The second most important story. It's a one of personal achievement, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, as of yesterday, this channel, my little YouTube League of Legends channel that has been working on for the last 4 years, have now reached the beautiful subscriber goal of 90 subs. I cannot be proud of myself. I cannot be proud of myself to reach 90 subscribers in, I'm not saying like the fastest time ever, but to grow an audience that, you know, me personally don't know much about League of Legends from like the analytical gameplay and all kind of stuff. But to see this channel grow that much, I think it's the first time that I ever grown so much subscribers in my entire life. Like since started YouTube, I was never expected to like get 90 subs. Maybe like 30, 40, and that'll be like the base mark. But for me to get 90 subscribers, it's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable for this growth to happen. And I cannot thank anybody. You know, I like to thank my parents, my mom and dad, all the people supporting me and all kind of stuff. But also myself. I'm not mostly a hard worker in most cases. I can be a little lazy most of the time, not doing all the videos and shorts and like the consistency that you can saw. And you can say that most of the subscribers are coming from like the mid-season invitational, at the time where it's the peak. But at the same time, me putting out content, me putting out video, it showcase that all your hard work, all your sacrifice, all the time to do it. And by the way, some of the videos I did are just not edited. I'm not a gigantic editor. I can do some editing sometimes, but mostly for my shorts. But in terms of like long form videos, I'm not that big of an editor in my case. But, and I said but, for me to get 90 subscribers, it's a huge achievement for me. And I thank myself, I thank you. Most importantly, yes, I'm staring at you in the camera. Thank you so much for 90 subscribers. It is an honor for me to be to be doing this almost a daily basis every single month. And It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing to me. And without you guys, I would never be where I am right now. Just a Port Antonio guy in Jamaica doing League of Legends. It's incredibly weird and almost big. And by the way, just nearly 29 to be honest. I'm close to 30 to be honest, and I'm still doing League of Legends content. It's crazy, but I find my niche. I'm doing something that I hope that people love and do. And as long as the game lives, and by the way, it will live even with all the BS going on in Riot and all that stuff. I will keep doing this whole thing for you guys and you guys only. And if that will give me more numbers growing up as time go on, that's good enough for me. Now, my next goal is probably the main goal: 100 subscribers. And we are trying to do it before the end of MSI or before the end of Worlds or before the end of the year, whichever comes first. And I want that to happen. So, if you like this channel, please, and I said the word please, subscribe, like, comment, share with your friends. It doesn't matter where. Iceland, Norway, Finland, Germany, Austria, Spain, Madrid. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. As long as you click on a chat on pretty much an AI thumbnail, fine. But as long as you click on the channel, you see my face talking League of Legends. Even if you don't understand it as much, you know my personality and all kind of stuff could be a little bit, yeah, all over the place. But as long as you come to my channel, as long as you subscribe, as long as you like and you comment and share all kinds of stuff, and also, by the way, respond to some comments. So that's good enough. Show me my activity, of course, in social media, even though I'm not a social media craze guy like so many people. But as long as you guys watch and subscribe and like all my stuff, then I believe that is really, really good for me. So thank you all for the 90 subscribers and Excelsior, onwards and upwards. And now we are going onwards to the wheel, ladies and gentlemen. We have 4 teams to preview. And without any further ado, it is time for me to spin the wheel. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. Now, yes, yes, yes. Lion is going to be previewed. I will get to Lion in just a second. Yes, Lion, you will get previewed, and I will talk to you in a second. Before that, I think I made one little oopsie from my Furia video. It's that I didn't rank them. I gone through all that thing to thanking Poro, to previewing the team and all kinds of stuff, that I forgot to even rank Furia on my rankings. That's how bad it is. Like I said, I'm listen. Sometimes I make mistakes. Some of the times that I forgot. Most of the cases, I'm a flawed person like everybody else, but it's normal. Now, where do I put Furia? By the way, where do I put Furia? I think Furia is my 9th best team going into this tournament. I think from yesterday's video that I said with Poro, I think this team is it's not good enough to like challenges the T Secret Wells and the Team Liquid Aliens Whales of the world and maybe your G2s of the world, but underestimating them in any pro role, and I think they could be good enough. They're not in rankings term, they're like the lower rank. But in terms of style and how they play and aggressiveness, I think Furia can actually rattle a few teams. So if Furia were to beat one of these teams and then Reddit comments saying that, oh, you lose to a Brazilian team, I would be like, have you seen what they did in America's Cup and all kinds of stuff? Do not be surprised if that happens. Okay, now then, refocus onto Lion. Now, unfortunately, Poro is not going to help me today, although I can just, wait until Poro just drops a video on the Lion team. But since Poro is not here today to do some help, I think it's time for me to go solo. So we're going to talk about Lion, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a fascinating team to look at. They're the LCS, 2-time LCS champions, lock-in champion, and spring champion, of course, just recently. And they are now considered probably the best team in North America at this point. The fact that Lion are doing this in year 2, actually year 1 of the LCS, and by the way, this is not the first time that Lion has ever attended in the MSI or international tournaments. They have attended MSI or international tournaments, but just under a different brand in the Latin American League, the LLA, by the way. So this is not Lion overall first international tournament, but in the LCS version, this is their second international tournament next to first stand. And we're gonna find out if this team is way better than what they did in first stand, which was an expectedly hot mess, to be honest. Now, let's look at the players. We got Dokla, and I want to put Castle beside Dokla, but I just feel like I just can't. I just can't for the life of me. And I'm doing this for statistical reasons, which I'm going to do later, but also personal reasons, and I think for community reasons. Is that yes, Dokla has not been great in terms of like regular season performances. He can be a little bit fallen off, of course, against some of the decent LCS talents like your Morgan and your Thanatos in some cases, and that's fine for me. But when it comes to the big game moments, the bright light merchants, the Jalen Brunson's fourth quarter esque kind of moments, he can shine. And I think Dokla is the most clutched top laner in all of LCS. I'm not saying he's one of the best LCS top laners ever. That's not to say that. But what he has done to NRG, what he has done to LYON in the last two splits, he's incredible. And the content he has done is incredible. And the way he has humbled himself is amazing. He is. I'm not saying Jalen. Okay, he could be Jalen Brunson in the clutchness, but he's more of a Alex Caruso. You know Alex Caruso, right? Thunder player, of course, who used to play for the Lakers and won the championships with both teams. The stats don't say that he's a dominant scorer or anything like that, but his hard work, his stealing, his energy, his vibes, is the kind of thing that the same thing with Alex Caruso. He may not be going to win you so many games by himself with his top lane matchups and all kind of stuff. But what we see from the Vayne game against T Secret, Team Liquid, and what we see in the finals against Team Liquid Alienware, and even the Cloud9 series, is that he can show up when it matters the most. And that is going to be the key difference for this LYON team as well. He may not be the most important player on the team. I think he might be the steady hand, of course. Now, you can say Inspired and Saint and Berserker kind of like the most important pieces. Fine. But do not sleep on Dokla, man, especially for what he has done over the last few years. He could be clutch, he could be steady, he could also be a weak side, but when it matters the most in team finance and all these kind of situations, he can deliver. And I know the community sentiment is pretty much like dogging on him, creating crap. I will say this. I will be a Dokla defender until everybody said it doesn't. I think that Dokla is probably the most underrated player ever in the LCS in terms of like the wins that he has done and the style he has done. But I think he's the most clutch, and I think he's the most important. So listen, yes, Dokla is not great, but just don't sleep on him. Just do not sleep on him. In terms of international performances, I'm not sure it could be Goyo or Morgan or Doran, but listen, let the guy try, okay? He is great credibility in the last few years. It's just given him enough to see like he is decent enough. Okay, now enough Dokla glazing. It's time for the statistical anomaly of Dokla. He got 4.5 KDA, 66.7% kill participation, 17.2 kill share percentage, 27.4 deaths, minus 264 goal difference at 10, which is the least since Pun. Minus 9 XPD for 10. He's got 7.8 CS per minute, which is like the second lowest with Pun, of course. 688 damage per minute. Like I said, not the best in terms of like XPD or goal difference, which is like he showcased that he's not great early on. But in terms of like damage per minute and all consecutive teams, he's close. Like he's in like almost at the same level as Pawn, by the way. The second most in terms of damage per minute as a top laner with Pawn, of course. 25.5% of damage, almost close to Pawn's level, of course. And I think you can say that Dokla and Pawn are the same things. They're like not strong in the early game, not being decent, but also when it matters the most, when it comes to team fight and everything like that, they always deliver and they are great. 20.1% gold, 0.44 wards per minute, and 0.15 wards clear per minute. So you can say that you can wait. Let me see if I can do this right. Oh, no. Okay, 25.5, 18.4, 0.45, and 0.16. Okay, then. Okay. I kind of like read it all because there's a lot of numbers, of course. But you can say that I think Dokla's stats are really, really showcased. He's a really good team player. He can be good at team fights. He can have some weak side champions he can play with. Oh, by the way, I'm going back to the Oracle Elixir to find out his champion pool and to see, how he plays throughout this entire split. Because I think it's really important to showcase who he is as a player. And also, I think right now you could say that Castle is pretty much like cooked at LYON because everybody's bringing. You thought you're bringing in Castle. You're thinking to yourself, okay, yeah, bring Castle in. He's going to like ruffle some feathers, making Dokla feel like they're going to go to the bench, and he's probably done. And then instead, it makes Dokla look like twice the best player on the team. Not, I said not the best player, but twice the best player. And by the way, he's 28 years old. Like he's probably the same age as mine, to be honest. His birthday is not coming in until like next month, which is probably the same day as my birthday, which is like a month after that. So, God, I feel old. I feel really old watching this. But anyways, the guy can play Rumble brilliantly. He can also play Zion. He can play your Nards, your Cassantes, your Jace, Anivia just a little bit, and then Renekton. And then you got like other side champions. But his Rumble is like the most played. 78% win rate with an 89% blind pick rate, which is like saying that the percentage of which the player champion being picked before their lane opponent. 3.7 KDA with a 59.1% kill participation. If all things stay equal with the patch notes and everything, I think, and by the way, the patch notes will come out tomorrow at the time of this video. I think you can say that his Rumble is going to be the most important thing to like band out or pick. And I think if he plays Rumble well, I think he's decent. But he can also play the weak side, of course. Sion, of course, is probably weak side for him. Narcasante Jace is probably like your carry champions, of course. He can also play that as well. So, like I said, his numbers does not jump out of you saying that he's the best player, but I think he, in terms of like team fighting and ever presence, he could be that important. He could be that important to the team. So while me personally will rank Dokla into, I'm gonna go with the, I'm going B tier. I'm going B tier with this. I was going to go C tier, but I feel like Dokla is just way better than a C tier player. I think a B tier player is fine. Not overall A tier, S tier, but I think B tier is like fine. As for my top laners, I think you can say, I think I'll put him, let's call him 7. Let's put him as a 7th best mid laner. Top laner on their team. Okay? Cool. Now then, onwards to pretty much the best jungler on the team. It's Inspired. What do you say about Inspired right now that is pretty much already established? He has won a title with Evil Geniuses, a couple with FlyQuest, and a couple with LYON. He is, without a doubt, the most decorated jungler in all the LCS. I think he's won like 7 titles in the LCS right now, and you can and you add in, of course, the LEC title that he won with Rogue, by the way, and he's like the most decorated jungler in the West right now. Now he's not like Yanko's H2K G2 great, but you can say that he's like in the ballpark of course of it. And by the way, this guy was so close to being an LEC player. He was so close to being an LEC player, of course. Imagine if the LEC got inspired. This level of inspired, by the way. My God, I will tell you what. That LEC jungle battle will be absolutely cooking. But the fact that Inspired has done well in the LCS just showcase how really good from a jungling perspective, from a leadership perspective, even though that this split has not been his best split by a mile, of course. I'm not saying he did badly in this split. I think he's not like the most important player. That is come to Saint and Berserker. I think you can say that Saint has improved from what happened to First Stand, and his reputation in First Stand was kind of like not great after the horrific Azir play against JDG. But I think you can say that Saint improved. But I think Inspired's leadership, whether you like it or not, is important for this LYON team. It's really important. It could be a little bitchy sometimes, but that is Inspired, and that's Inspired in a nutshell, of course. Now, we get to his champion pool, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting to his champion pool. And yes, we're going to go to his champion pool. We're going to go to his bag of champion pool. And my God. By the way, the guy's 24 years old. He's done all of this success at 24 years old. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, let's just go with his champion pool. Xin Zhao, he's really good at, of course. And then you got Sejuani. He can also play Viego, of course, but I think Viego has not been great, not been in there. You can also play the Trundle. You can also play Wukong. Lee Sin, of course, we get a little bit nerf. Jarvan, Vi, a little bit Lilia, but I don't think Lilia will do well. Maokai, Nocturne, all off, of course, in some cases. Skarner can also do well. Pantheon can also do well. And by the way, I'm doing this on 16.7 to the current patch, of course. And it's not indicative like where the split ends, of course, or that. But I would decided to put it as is. So this guy is really good at your aggressive jungler kind of stuff. But because I think the meta is going to go to the bruiser style of stuff, he can also play your Sejuani, and he plays Sejuani really well. I remember his game against BLG for FlyQuest at MSI last year, and he was absolutely smurfing on that Sejuani. He was absolutely smurfing on Sejuani. He can also play great on Trundle. He can also play great on Wukong, of course. He can play Vi if he has to. This guy's a range of champion pool, and I think he's really, really an absolute flexible player, of course, for the jungle. He can play aggressive style. He can also play a bruiser style. He's absolutely good. Now, let's look at the numbers, of course. Let's look at the numbers. Inspired, of course, with a 6.9 KDA. That is the highest KDA among all junglers. Actually, second highest, next to Tattoo, by the way, with a ludicrous 9. But if you take away Tattoo, he's the highest among all junglers in KDA. That is wild. In fact, I think Inspired is better than Scumon in terms of the KDA, but it doesn't matter, of course, how impactful both junglers are. I think you can say that Inspired is your 1A and Scumon is your 1B of best junglers in the West so far, and that'll be an incredible battle. If we get LYON versus G2 in the MSI battle between Scumon and Inspired for best jungler in the West, sign me up, guys. Sign me up. Anyways, enough glazing. 63.2% on the kill participation, 25.3 kill shares, 16.8% on the deaths, 292 goal difference at 10, with a 190 XPD at 10, 7.9 CS per minute, 411 damage per minute, and 14.5 damage percentage, which is the lowest among them, but I think that's pretty much the least opponent. 22.1 goal percentage. There you go. 0.24 wars per minute and zero point 0.4 wars clear. So in terms of the damage numbers and the damage per minute, his numbers are not the flashiest. I think this is a low. I think he's lower than Yike. Yeah, he's lower. His damage percentage numbers are lower than Yike. But you have to say that his impact, his leadership, his creative plays, his clutchness, of course, associated with Dokla, it's unmatched. It is unmatched. And I think that's the most important thing for this team is that when everything goes wrong, especially in the national tournament, you have to lean on Inspired, who has been there, done that. He can talk a little crap, but I think he can make this team look work. And by the way, he's probably the better jungler than pretty much like all the LCS junglers. And no disrespect to Jose Dodo or Blabber, but yeah, I think Inspired is still better. Although you can say Jose Dodo has a great performance this split, I still back Inspired, of course, because of the leadership and what he has done. So, anyways, I'm putting him in A tier. I think I'm putting him in A tier because of all of that. And where do I put it as jungler right now? I think I put him 7th. Although, is he better than Jose Dodo? Here's the kicker. I think Jose Dodo has a fantastic split, of course, among them. But I think Inspired could still rattle the feathers among like Eastern teams, the way he has done in the last, MSI tournaments. I think if he performs well against Eastern teams like he did, and I think first hand is like an anomaly, of course. But if he does well against the Eastern teams in MSI, I think that might be a pretty good thing. So I'm sorry, Jose Dodo, you're great, but I think you have to drop to 7th place. And I put Inspired as my 5th best jungler among all the MSI teams. Okay, I think I need to pause a little bit, and I'll come back for the glazing of Saint. Okay, welcome back. And now it is time for us to move on. Actually, time for me to move on to Saint, who after first stand got a little bit of a flack, of course, after what happened in the first stand. But you could say that he has been improving a lot from the time of first stand until he won the LCS championship in Arizona. Let's look at the player stats, of course, for Saint, of course, in the mid lane. He's got 6.1 KDA, which is the same amount of KDAs as Zeka among, of course, playoff teams. And by the way, the LCK stats are from the regular season. But still, to have this kind of numbers, of course, with Zeka is something amazing. 69.5% K kill participation, and a 22.4% kill shares. He got 29 goal difference at 10 minutes with a 95 XPD at 10 minutes, which is the same as Dyer, by the way. 9.5 CS per minute, which is higher among all the mid laners, of course. I mean, second to like Knight. I mean, first to Knight, I guess. Like, he beat Knight by zero point 0.3 CS per minute. That's amazing. Unfortunately, damage-wise, he's not as strong, of course. 658 damage, which is okay, but not as strong. 23.9% damage percentage, which is kind of like in around the ballpark of decent. 22.4% gold percentage. Let me just look at my key again to make sure I didn't get it wrong. Oh yeah, gold share. Percentage of gold share. Got it. Where was I? Where was I? Where is I, King? Saint 22.4 gold share, 22.4% gold share, which is really high among mid laners, and a 0.41 wards per minute and 0.33 wards clear per minute. So if you look at Saint, I think you can say that his numbers are just showing that his KDA is really good. His incredible KDA is good. His damage per minute is not as strong, but you could say that he has been probably one of the two best players for this Lion team. And by the way, he's 21 years old. He's young. This is his first major international event, his second major international event, but the first one was real high stakes, of course. And by the way, he has been doing with Azir, but he is not playing Azir, of course, ever since that fateful day. And then, of course, he's really good at Silas. He can also good at Akali or Corki, we haven't seen as much. Oriana, Ari, Talia, Yone, Tristana, Victor, Rise, LeBlanc, Aurora, Lissandra, Annie, and Cassiopeia. I think I heard he's a really good Cassiopeia pick. He can also play in Galio, Nivea. He has a wide champion pool, to be honest. He's a wide champion pool. But if you take away Azir, of course, and you take away Corki, I think you can say he's really good at the Silas and Akali. He's more of the engage attack kind of champions, like in your face, 1v1 and dominate the mid laner kind of champions. Now, it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing because if he be aggressive and dominate the lane, of course, he can be snowballed in the head and push this team on the brink to success. If it fails, it could really hurt them. And I feel like if the mid laner goes, the entire team goes. And as great as Inspired is, I do not think he's good enough to carry like 4 decent, not great performances from the other laners. That being said, I think Saint is a good player. I think he's a really good player. His improvement wasn't good. His playstyle has been improved. Of course, he's been decent, and I think you can say that I'm going to put him as B tier. I put him as B tier right now, showing that I think he's good enough. Well, no, I think. Listen, let me be honest. I don't think he's good enough to be Cream or Caps, in my opinion. No, Knight, Zeka, of course. So I think he's by my fifth best mid laner. And yes, you can say all you will about Faker not being great, but I already said about Faker, he's the GOAT until proven otherwise. So if you look at the mid laner hierarchy, it's a really tough one. Maybe he's better than Tutso and be like 7th place. Is he better than Quid though? Maybe. I think this is tough. Okay, let's see. So Saint will be 6th. Quid, Toots is going to be 8th. And Dyer is going to be 9th. There you go. So I put Saint in 6th, of course, as my best mid laners, of course. Now it's time for the AD carry and Berserker. Ooh, Berserker. Let's talk about Berserker even more. The guy is unbelievable. He has been having an unbelievable split, of course, with this Lion team. And he's been, I think you say, one of the main focus on this Lion team, besides Inspired, of course. The guy's been popping off. 8.3 KDA, which is the most among ADCs. Better than IU, of course. He's got a 71.3% kill participation, which, by the way, highest among ADCs. Again, 32.3% kill shares. He has 194x goal difference and 204 minutes, which is like second better to Eddie. It's ridiculous. He's got 9.6 CS per minute, which is kind of like a ballpark of highest, but at 804 damage per minute. 804. You're talking about like what? the fourth best damage per minute player among all the MSI teams. That's amazing. That's amazing. 28.8 damage per minute, which is percentage, which is not as strong, of course. He's got 27.2 gold share, which I think he's the tied third for the highest gold shares. I think he's right with Jackie Love in terms of those numbers. That's amazing. 0.43 words per minute, 0.29 words clear per minute, which showcase how really incredibly strong Berserker has been. And by the way, I did not even show you the incredible misfortune play that he did in that playoff series. No, I'm not probably going to show you again. But I think you can say that Berserker has been absolutely phenomenal. He's been phenomenal for this team. I think he's going to be the main character for this entire Lions team. Yes, we can all say Inspire is the most important player. Maybe you can say Dokala is the second most important. But if you can say that the Berserker, if he given the tools, it's going to be like popping off. He's going to pop off in some of the games. And if you look at the champion pool for him, you could say that I think he's having a pretty good season with some of the champions, of course. By the way, another young player at 22 years old. 20, whoa. So Berserker has gone through Cloud9, DN Supers, and now Lion at 22 years old. Wow, I am stunned, by the way. So let's look at the champion pool. He could play Yanara, which I think Yanara is going to be a thing right now. Lucian, Caitlyn, Varus, and Israel. I think you say to take out the Varus. I think Israel, Ashe, Senna in some cases. Misfortune, Sivir, Jhin, I guess I can say. So if you look at the champion pool, it's pretty much small. But you can say that he can also do well in the aggressive style of champions that he plays. You can also play Lucian, of course, Caitlyn in some cases, Varys you can also spam, Israel in some cases, of course you can just play Ashe. And if you want scaling, you can play Yanara, maybe Senna, maybe of course Sivir, and then Smolder in some cases. So you can play these different kind of champions. I think he and Isles partnership is going to be the most important, of course, in terms of the bot lane synergy. It's like they got to do well in that ball lane to like be the focus. Like the team fighting has to be the focus on this team. I mean, yes, you could say the laning and all kind of stuff, but I'll explain to you why this is more important, of course, later. But you have to say that in terms of that, the ball lane is going to be really good, and I think Berserker's been doing well. Now, where do I put him? I think I can say that S tier, no, A tier in some cases, fine, but I do not know. I think Berserker is more of a B tier to me. I wanted to put him at A tier, but I think you can say that yeah, in terms of like all the rest of the ADCs, Hansum is better than him, Paze is better than him, Guzi Uzi and Viper, despite Viper's first international tournament ever, first MSI ever, he is still better than him. So it's kind of like, I think B tier is fine. I think B is fine. And I think for 80 carries, he's probably a sixth place for me. He's probably sixth place. Yeah. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to talk Isles. Now, Isles, you have to say, in the support, has been fairly well. 7.1 KDA, 73.36% kill participation, 2.9 kill shares, of course. And then damage per minute, notwithstanding, 183, 7.3 damage percentage at 10 per goal 10 goals shared, which is like the second lowest among supports, by the way. 2.17 wards per minute and 0.48 wards clear per minute. Now, I think you can say Isles with Berserker is kind of like a important combo duo going into us. And I think you can say that play with the Lulu ult, of course, that avoided Team Liquid from even winning that fight. Yeah, that incredible Lulu ult against Team Liquid in that finals was probably one of the plays of the entire finals, in my opinion, other than the Jose Dodo Seals, of course. And you can say that Isles is a really, really flexible champion. Like, I think his most important champions are like the Engages, like your Nautilus and your Leona. I think he played Nautilus more times. 54 times on Nautilus. The collects closest was a Leona with almost 30. That's ridiculous. So, and also played Rakan, of course, and Alistar and Braum. So he's more like an engaging bruiser style champions. But his champions have kind of come along. Lulu that I mentioned, of course, Karma. You can say Bard in most cases, and you can play a little Yumi and Lux if the skills if it's acquired. Nico and Melia also being good, of course. Nami in some cases, but we haven't seen Nami as much, nor the Nami Lucian combo, so it's gonna be really tight. So overall, this guy's a really flexible support, of course, a really flexible support, and I think he can actually work with the playstyle of this Lion team, which, by the way, I think Lion slow, meaningful surgical style of League of Legends is going to get railed on by so many LCK and LPL teams. And I will do that later, but I think I will let you know that Isles could fit the style of this team to a T. Is like as long as the bot lane is not getting crushed upon within first 10 to 15 minutes of the laning phase, I think this team is pretty much good enough. I think this team and this bot lane is gonna be good enough to challenge. Are they good enough to challenge with the carriers of the world and all that kind of stuff? No, I don't think so, but you could say that I think he's decent. I will also put him as BT, of course. And for my support, by the way, my support, I think I'll go with the same thing. Sixth place. There you go. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the lineups, the team stats. Now, Lion, by the way, is probably the slowest ever team by any metric among MSI teams. They have a KDA of 1.83, which is good, 0.68 combined kills per minute, 0.47 GPR, and their early gains is like 50.5, lowest among all of them. Yeah, lowest among all of them among MSI teams, notwithstanding Chinese numbers. So they have played their games really slow, really methodical, and really boring. But it did bring you the second highest mid-late rating of all teams besides Deep Cross Gaming. No, Furia, by the way. Furia. And it showcased that while their style may not be pleasing to the eye of many people, and that's fine if you do not like this slow style of play, that's on you, it works. Now, the difference between working in the LCS and also working in the international level is going to be completely different once they have their first game on the Rift. It's going to be a completely different kind of style. Yeah, the slow style is good enough to do well, but what happens if the first 15 minutes does not go their way? What if it happens if Inspired gets starved in the jungle? What happens if they get the first blood on their bot lane? How will they play this game? Because remember, they don't have the great early game as they have, like a G2 or like some of the teams in this tournament. They don't have that early game presence. So what will happen if an LCS team, or an LCK team, or an LPL team dominate their early start of the game? It could be a nightmare field for them. It could be really nightmare field for them, and it could be curtains before you know it. The first blood percentage is not as high, 36%, the same thing with first tower. So that means again, the showcase a slow play style. Also, first three tower rates is also low at 45%. 27% on Herald, which means they don't prioritize Herald cards. Look at this. 27% on Herald. The second closest is 46%. That's ridiculous. Also, 64% on the first Drake. And also 56% on the Drake percentage, of course. Baron percentage, of course, is 86%, which is like high, which showcase they're prioritizing the Baron a lot more. 49.8% on the laner, which is like the lowest among all the laners. Like everybody else is around 50 or high 50s, but like 49.8% is kind of low. 54% on the jungle, 3.71 wards per minute, and 1.29 control wards per minute. And I had to say that this slow playstyle for Lion is going to it's going to help them, but it's also going to harm them at the same time. 48 international experience, of course, is this is Lion's first ever international tournament, although this is not their first time organizational wise. Doka and Inspired and Saint and Berserker and Knowledge, they've been to international tournaments. Their average age is 24 years old. They have 195 games between these guys. But Inspired, of course, picking up the most because of his time in FlyQuest and Rogue, of course, a long time ago, and Evil Geniuses in the 2022 MSI. Yeah, 2022 MSI. So he's got an experience on his belt. He probably going to be the leader of this team, and hopefully it might do well. Now for the MSI appearances, as I mentioned, of course, this is not Lion's first time in the MSI tournament. They have been there twice. Once as an LLA representative, of course, and then once as Rainbow 7. This is their third LCS MSI appearance, but their first as an LCS representative. They've only played 13 games, and their best run with the 8-9 place in 2017. From an organizational standpoint, we don't know much about LCS, but that's from an organizational standpoint. 20, 2017 8th, 9th finish, the best run for Lion. And now for the road to Daejeon is pretty much like it's cutthroat dry. They are 5-2. Besides Cloud9, impressive showing, 12-6 in game score, but they scrape by T Law and then just cruise through, dominate C9, dominate T Law to win another LCS title, and of course, two-time LCS champions and probably like the best North American team we've seen so far. And the prediction markets on Kelshi again. Lion has a 1% chance of winning, which pretty much like consider everything that's going on with North America right now and everything like that. I think this pretty much says it right. Yeah, 1% it just feels like they have no chance. Now, the thing about this is that I think Lion could do well at MSI, but it depends of how good Berserker is, how good Saint is, and how really great Inspired is. Now, you could say like Dokula is kind of like the exception to the rule, unless otherwise. But I think if Lion can just show up, like if they face an Eastern team and they get crushed, it is what it is. Typical North America stuff. But if they can manage to get like a 3-2 series win or a 3-2 series loss and show some decent games and feel like, okay, they could be a threatful team, of course, and then knock out one of the Western teams, of course, in the process, maybe a G2, of course, if it's possible, then yeah, I think it could be a success. I think you say that some, like the LCK and LPL teams, their success is like winning international tournaments. For the LCS and LEC, it's kind of like one up them and maybe beating an Eastern team, and that's all that matters. And I think if Lai can do that against an Eastern team, that will consider a successful season. Beyond that, I don't think they'll get too far. And for me, ranking them, I think I'll go with a genuine sixth place finish. Not as high as many other teams, but not as pretty low as many other teams. And I think that concludes my preview for Lion Gaming, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see, we are down to the final three. And I have to say, these are going to be really good ones. Really good ones. We have the two best teams, of course, the favorites to go into the tournament. We got Carmine Corp. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all for the preview. So, Carmine Corp, 100 Life Esports, and BLG Gaming. 3 teams left to preview, of course. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching this video, of course. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe, like, comment about this video. Tell me if it's good enough. Tell me if it's not good enough. What should I improve or what should I be staying level? And I hope you have yourselves an enjoyable week, of course, an enjoyable day watching World Cup and all kinds of stuff. And I will see you all tomorrow for another preview, of course. And also, thank you so much for 90 subscribers. Let's keep hitting to 100.